Caitlin Clark arrived in Indianapolis with a target on her back. The city buzzed with anticipation and the air was thick with excitement. Fans lined up outside the arena, eager to catch a glimpse of the player who had already become a household name before even stepping onto a WNBA court. For Indiana, this was more than just another draft pick. It was the dawn of a new era. The #1 draft pick, Clark was expected to transform the Indiana Fever. The franchise, long searching for a spark, now had the brightest young star in the game. The draft night was a celebration not just for Clark, but for the entire state. Indiana fans, known for their deep love of basketball, felt hope rekindled as Clark held up her new jersey, a symbol of promise and potential, and transform them, she did. From the moment she stepped onto the court for training camp, Clark was electric. Her energy was infectious, her focus unwavering. Every drill, every scrimmage, she pushed herself and her teammates to new heights. Coaches and players alike could sense that something special was happening. The gym felt different, more intense, more hopeful, more alive. Her passes were no-look dimes, threading through defenders with impossible precision. Her three-pointers, pure magic, seemed to defy logic and gravity. The energy was palpable, not just in the arena but across the entire state. Every time Clark touched the ball, fans held their breath, waiting for the next moment of brilliance. Social media couldn't get enough of Clark's dazzling play. Her highlights were everywhere, shared, retweeted, and replayed by fans and analysts alike. Clips of her step-back threes and jaw-dropping assists went viral within minutes. Young athletes watched in awe, inspired to pick up a basketball and dream big. Clark wasn't just a player, she was a phenomenon, captivating audiences far beyond Indiana. She was splashed across ESPN, Instagram, and Twitter. Fans were buzzing, sports anchors debated her impact, and highlight reels played on a loop. Every game became a must-watch event, drawing in new fans and reigniting the passion of longtime supporters. The Fever's games were suddenly the hottest ticket in town, and Clark was at the center of it all. In schools and playgrounds across Indiana, kids wore her jersey and mimicked her moves. Local news stations ran stories about the Clark effect, highlighting how she was inspiring a new generation of basketball players. Her influence extended beyond the court, becoming a symbol of hope and possibility for young athletes everywhere. The Indiana Fever had a once-in-a-generation talent, and everyone knew it. Clark's impact was immediate. She brought a new level of intensity and belief to the team, and her connection with the fans was undeniable. Every autograph signed, every high-five courtside, deepened the bond between Clark and the Indiana faithful. Her teammates were energized by her passion and drive. Practices became more competitive, and games more thrilling. Clark's leadership, even as a rookie, was evident. She encouraged her teammates, celebrated their successes, and pushed everyone to be their best. The Fever became a true team, united by a shared goal and a newfound sense of purpose. The coaches were impressed by her basketball IQ and work ethic. Clark studied film relentlessly, always looking for ways to improve. She asked questions, sought feedback, and never settled for anything less than excellence. Her commitment to the game set a new standard for the entire organization, raising expectations and inspiring everyone around her. Most importantly, Clark brought a sense of hope to Indiana. The Fever faithful, who had endured tough seasons, now believed that anything was possible. The arena was filled with energy and optimism as fans rallied behind their new star. Clark's arrival signaled a turning point, a reason to believe that greatness was within reach. The Fever were no longer content with simply competing. They wanted more. With Clark leading the way, the team set their sights higher, determined to make their mark on the league. Every game was a battle, every win a step closer to their ultimate goal. This was a team with championship aspirations. With Caitlin Clark at the helm, the Indiana Fever were ready to chase greatness, fueled by talent, passion, and the unwavering support of a state that lives and breathes basketball. The journey had just begun, but already, a star had been born in Indiana. The Indiana Fever launched a marketing campaign to coincide with Clark's arrival. Now you know. It was a stroke of genius. The campaign was everywhere. Billboards, TV commercials, social media. It was a message to the league and the fans. The Indiana Fever were here, and they were ready to make some noise. The Now You Know campaign was a brilliant marketing move. It generated excitement and intrigue around the league. Fans loved it. The media couldn't stop talking about it. The Indiana Fever were no longer the afterthought of the WNBA. They were relevant, they were exciting, they were must-see TV. The Indiana Fever weren't a one-woman show. The front office had assembled a talented roster around Caitlin Clark. Kelsey Mitchell, a dynamic scorer, formed a lethal backcourt duo with Clark. Nalissa Smith, a force in the paint, provided toughness and rebounding. The Fever had depth at every position. This wasn't just a collection of talented players though, this was a team. The chemistry was evident from the start. They played with a joy and togetherness that was infectious. The Fever were no longer just hoping to win, they expected to win. The excitement surrounding the Indiana Fever was palpable. The team had to move some of their home games to the larger Gainbridge Fieldhouse to accommodate the demand for tickets. The Fever were selling out arenas. Fans were lining up for hours to get autographs. The energy was electric. The Fever were no longer playing in obscurity, they were the hottest ticket in town. Opposing teams circled the date on the calendar when they had to travel to Indiana. Playing in front of that crowd against that team was a challenge. The Indiana Fever had become a force to be reckoned with. When Stephanie White took over as head coach, she brought more than just a new playbook to Indiana, she brought a vision. Her leadership was about more than X's and O's. It was about building a culture where every player felt valued, responsible, and empowered. From the very first practice, Coach White made it clear that this team would be different. She challenged her players to not only work hard but to work smart, to support one another, and to hold themselves to the highest standards both on and off the court. The foundation of this team was built on relentless effort, mutual respect, and a shared commitment to excellence. Every drill, every practice, and every game was approached with a sense of purpose. The players pushed each other to be better, knowing that their success depended on the strength of their collective effort. It wasn't just about individual talent, it was about how well they could come together as a unit. Every player from the starters to the last person on the bench bought into Coach White's system. They understood their roles and embraced them fully, trusting that their contributions, big or small, mattered to the team's overall success. This buy-in created a sense of belonging and pride that was felt throughout the locker room. They played for each other, not just for themselves. Every pass, every screen, every defensive stop was made with the team in mind. When one player succeeded, the whole team celebrated. When someone stumbled, there was always a teammate ready to lift them back up. They celebrated each other's successes, big and small, and they picked each other up after mistakes. This unwavering support created a safe space for players to take risks, knowing their teammates had their backs no matter what. It was this environment that allowed them to grow, both as athletes and as people. This was a true team in every sense of the word. They weren't just a collection of individuals wearing the same jersey, they were a family, united by a common goal and a shared belief in each other. The players held each other accountable, never shying away from tough conversations or honest feedback. They understood that real growth comes from being challenged, and they welcomed it. Whether it was a missed assignment or a lapse in focus, they addressed it head-on, always with the intention of making the team stronger. There was no room for pouting, no finger-pointing, and no excuses. Instead, there was a culture of accountability and resilience. Mistakes were seen as opportunities to learn, not reasons to assign blame. They knew that, in order to be successful, they had to work together as one. Every victory was a team victory, and every setback was faced together. Their chemistry was built through countless hours of practice, honest communication, and a shared determination to reach their goals. This sense of unity was evident every time they stepped onto the court. You could see it in the way they moved, the way they communicated, and the way they trusted each other in the heat of competition. The Fever played with a confidence and swagger that came from knowing they had put in the work. They believed in themselves, and more importantly, they believed in each other. That belief was their greatest strength. They knew they were good, and they were ready to show the world just how far unity, accountability, and confidence could take them. This was more than a team. It was a movement, and their journey was just beginning. Caitlin Clark's impact extended beyond Indiana. Her arrival had sent shockwaves through the entire WNBA. Teams were adjusting their game plans, knowing they had to find a way to slow down the young phenom. General managers were looking to add players with similar skill sets. The Caitlin Clark effect was real. Clark had raised the bar for the entire league. She was a once-in-a-generation talent who was changing the way the game was played, and she was just getting started. The future of the WNBA was bright, and it was led by Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever's front office had executed a brilliant plan. They had drafted a superstar in Caitlin Clark. They had surrounded her with a talented supporting cast. They had hired a brilliant coach in Stephanie White, and they were just getting started. The Fever were committed to building a dynasty. They were already looking ahead to the future, to the next draft, to the next free agency period. The goal was clear: to create a team that could compete for championships year after year. The Fever were playing the long game, and they were playing to win. The Indiana Fever had arrived. They were no longer the underdogs. They were contenders. They were a team that could win it all. They had the talent, the coaching, and the desire to be champions. The rest of the league had been put on notice. The Fever were coming. The Fever's rise to power was a storybook tale. It was a testament to the power of teamwork, hard work, and belief. The Fever had captured the hearts of their fans and the imagination of the entire league. They were the team everyone was talking about, and they were just getting started. Caitlin Clark's arrival in Indiana marked more than just the beginning of a new season. It signaled the dawn of a transformative era for the Indiana Fever. As she stepped into the arena, the energy was palpable, the anticipation electric. Fans, teammates, and coaches alike knew that something special was about to unfold, something that would change the course of the franchise forever. This was an era defined by excitement, by hope, and by the kind of championship aspirations that ignite a city's spirit. The stands were filled with passionate supporters, their cheers echoing through the arena, their faces lit up with dreams of victory. Every game felt like a celebration, every play a chance to witness history in the making. But Caitlin Clark was more than just a basketball player. She was a phenomenon, a force of nature whose talent and determination inspired everyone around her. Her relentless drive on the court, her leadership in the locker room, and her unwavering commitment to excellence set a new standard for what it meant to wear the Fever jersey. To young girls everywhere, Clark was more than an athlete. She was an icon, a role model, and a living example of what was possible. Her story resonated far beyond the hardwood, inspiring a new generation to pick up a basketball, to chase their dreams, and to believe in themselves. In every autograph she signed, in every smile she shared, she planted the seeds of hope and ambition. Clark quickly became the face of the WNBA, her presence elevating the league to new heights. She brought a spotlight to women's basketball, drawing in fans from all walks of life and uniting them in their love for the game. Her influence extended beyond the court, shaping the culture of the sport and inspiring countless others to follow in her footsteps. The Indiana Fever, too, were more than just a basketball team. They were a family, a community, and a symbol of resilience and unity. Each player brought their own unique strengths, but together, they formed something greater than the sum of their parts. A team bound by trust, determination, and a shared vision for greatness. They became a beacon of hope, a living testament to what could be accomplished when talented and dedicated individuals came together for a common goal. Their journey was about more than just winning games. It was about inspiring a community, breaking barriers, and showing the world the power of teamwork and perseverance. As the Fever took to the court, their journey was only just beginning. Every practice, every game, every moment was a step toward building a legacy that would endure for years to come. The challenges ahead were many, but so too were the opportunities to grow, to learn, and to achieve greatness together. One thing was certain: the future was bright. The future was Indiana. And as the sun rose over the city, the Fever's legacy was just beginning to take shape, promising hope, excitement, and inspiration for generations to come.